Okay, good morning everyone. Chaf Hamad Aleph. Vayidom Hashemesh v'yareach Hamad ad yadkum goy oivav halohik suval sefer hayashar. What's this talking about? Yehoshua. So when the sun stood for Yehoshua, so it stood still, and the moon stood until yakum goy oivav, until they were able to take retribution against their enemies. Halohik suval sefer hayashar. It's written in Sefer Hayashar. Now we know it's written in Navi, but it's written in Sefer Hayashar. What does that mean? My Sefer Hayashar. Amar Rav Chia bar Abba, Amar Rabbi Yochanan. Zeh Sefer Avraham Yitzchak v'Yakov shenikru Yesharim. Shenemar Tomus Nafshi Mos Yesharim. That means it's written in Bereshis. V'Hecha Remiza. So where exactly is it Ramos in Bereshis that Yoshua is going to have the sun stand still for him? It says in Bereshis, V'Zaro Yeh Malei Hagoyim, that the Zara of Ephraim will be Malei Hagoyim. Emasayeh Malei Hagoyim. B'shah she'amda locham li Yoshua. When are they going to be the Malei Hagoyim? When are they going to be filled in the talk of the nations? When the sun will stand for their descendant Yoshua. Vayamod hashemesh b'chatzi hashamayim v'lo atzlavo ki yom tamim. It stood in the sky and it didn't set for a whole day. V'kama. So there's going to be a whole discussion now. There's going to be 3 opinions times 2. Because there's going to be an ikadame. So 6 opinions as to how long it stood in the sky, and they all have to revolve around the fact that the pasuk says ki yom tamim, a whole day. Now, does that mean that the entire process of the miracle was a whole day? Does that mean that the amount of time that it actually stood in the sky was a whole day? That's what the 6 opinions are going to be about. Zok the Gemara, Amar Rabbi Bekama, Amar B'Shua ben Levi, Esrim v'arba shai total. Ki yom tamim means the entire miracle from start to finish, including the natural stuff. Azul shis v'kamshis. Azul shis v'kamshis. Kulam yilsa ki yom tamim. Right? The sun rises from the east and goes west. So it rose for 6 hours, stood still for 6 hours, set for 6 hours, and then stood still for 6 hours, and then it was done. So basically had 12 hours of standing still and 12 hours of rising / setting. It was an entire day. Rabbi Lazar Amar, Shloshim v'shis azil, shis v'kam tresar, Shloshim v'shis, sorry. It was 36 hours total. Azil v'shis v'kam tresar, Azil shis v'kam tresar, amidaso ki yom tamim. According to him, it was 36 hours because it still went for the 6. That means it traveled 12 hours total. But it stood still, it traveled 12 hours, and then it stood still for 12 hours. It traveled 6 hours, and it stood still for 12 hours. Traveled 6 hours, and then it stood still for another 12 hours. So you got 24 hours of standing still, 12 and 12. That's what the Kiyom Tam is. It's not the entire process. The standing still of the sun, according to this opinion, was 24, plus the 6 that it was moving in the beginning till it stood still the first time, the 6 that it was moving afterwards till it stood still the second time. That's a total of 36. 24 plus 12. The first one is 12 hours. First one is that it was 24 hours the entire process. 6 and 6, that means within each one we're assuming that 12 of the hours...
Is that normal? No, so the miracle is 12 or 24?
No, we're talking about sunrise to sunset. It's 12 hours usually. Yeah. Sunset to sunrise is 12 hours. Yeah. So we're talking about the day being 12 hours. So it was moving for 12 hours, but an additional 12 hours was 6 hours standing in the beginning and in the end. So it stood still, so it was 24 hours of daylight.
So this is less. The second opinion is less.
The second opinion is more hours of daylight. That means it stood.
24,
that means it went for 6 hours. It was light. Whenever it's moving, it's light. So it's moving 6 hours, it's light. It stops 6 hours, it's light. It's moving 6 hours, it's light. It stops 6 hours, it's light. Then it's gone. Here it's moving 6 hours and moving 6 hours of light, which is 12 hours, but it also stood for 12 hours and stood for 12 hours, so it's a total of 36 hours.
That's the question. What's the miracle? The extra 12 or the extra 24?
So here, so that's going to be the Ikad Amri. But right now we're just talking about that, so the 24 was the entire process. According to the second opinion, 24 is how long it stood for. Rabbi Shmuel bar Nachmeni Amar Arba Yemushmona. The entire process was 48. Azil shis v'kam tresar, Azil shis v'kam esrim v'arba. When it says ki yom tamim, that's talking about the last time that it stood still. So it still moved. Again, according to everybody, it moved for a total of 12 hours, from sunrise to sunset. But over here, it stopped for 12 hours, and then it stopped for 24 hours. So the ki yom tamim was the second time it stopped, and in essence, this was a 48-hour day. Shenemar v'lo atzlavo ki yom tamim. Miklal me'ikara lav ki yom tamim have. How he learns is that the first time it stood still was not for an entire yom tamim, but the second time was it stood still for an entire yom tamim. So those are the 3 opinions. Was the whole process a yom tamim 24 hours? Was it time that it stood still between the 2 times 24 hours? Was it the time that it just stood still the second time 24 hours, plus the first time, which was 12 hours, plus the 6 and the 6 is 48.
No one says 60. No one says 24 both times.
No, right. Ikad Amrei. B'tosefta pligi. And then there's those who say that it was even longer. And they're only arguing about the additional amount of time. That means now we're going to take each opinion and we're going to bump it up. Originally, we thought it was 24, 36, 48. Now we're going to bump it up. So what's B'tosefta pligi? They're arguing about the additional hours. What does that mean? Rabbi Shua ben Levi Amar Esrim v'arba azil shisk v'kam. Esrim v'arba. He really says 24. That what? Azil shis v'kam tresar. Azil shis v'kam tresar amidaso kiyom tamim. Now, according to this opinion, again, when he says it's 24, it's not total. It's 12 hours standing, and 12 hours standing is 24. So really, according to this, it's 36 total, 24 standing. Rabbi Lezer shloshim v'sheish standing. Azil shis v'kam tresar. Azil shis v'kam esrim ba'arba. So he's got 12 plus 24, 36 plus 6. Is 42 plus 6 is 48, so we're bumping everybody up another one now. So now he's got 48, so it is going to be 60. Plus the 6 and the 6 was 60. Azil shis v'kam esrim v'arba, azil shis v'kam chavdalin, makish amidaso libiyaso. When it says, v'lo atzlavo ki yom tam, it wasn't just the second time, it was the first time as well. Ma biyaso ki yom tam, af amidaso ki yom tam. And again, this is fascinating. That basically means that it was daylight for 48 hours straight. Now, there are places in the world that you can go today where it's pretty much daylight all the time, no?
Arctic during the summer.
What?
For
the whole summer.
The miracle was this was in Israel. That's the miracle. It wasn't in Alaska.
But also the world didn't fall apart.
It actually
The
makes
reality,
sense that
the
way.
reality of the
because-
physics of it are amazing. If the Earth stops spinning for 24 hours because the
True.
sun doesn't move,
If the earth doesn't spin, we all die.
yeah, there's all kinds of issues.
But
But the language here suggests that each of the Tanaim, they merely said the time, and then the explanations are given for their times. That's why I can Ika da Amre.
Right. Or it could just be that the Ikadamri is on what they actually said. We have that all the time, where the Ikadamri is we don't know what they said. We quote them differently.
They said the time.
No, but I'm saying it could be that they actually explained the amount of time, how it's broken up, and the Ikadamri is just, but you're right, it could be that they just said the time and the Ikadamri had to interpret that, or it could be that they actually said what they meant and there's just different opinions in shir of what the rabbi actually said. Zak the Gemara, Tana Kishem Sha'amda lo chama li Yoshua, Kach amda lo chama le Moshe, Ulenakdimon ben Gurion. Just like the Chama stood for Yoshua, it stood for Moshe and Nakdimon ben Gurion. Yoshua cry, as we said. Nakdimon ben Gurion Gemara. LeMoshe Minal. What's the Gemara about Nakdimon ben Gurion? Anybody? Maseches Tanis, without looking in the notes in the art scroll. Quickly reading. So it says in Maseches Tanis that there was a drought and they needed to borrow water from a goy. And the guy said, "You need to pay me back by XYZ." And he couldn't get the water by XYZ. And then on the last day, the guy said, "Give me my water." And he prayed that it should start to rain. And it started to rain. And the guy said, "Too late, because the day's already over." And Hashem Kadosh Baruch Hu had held the sun behind the clouds during the rain. And as soon as the rain stopped and all the wells had filled that they could pay them back, the clouds separated and they saw that the sun had stood still for the entire time period, and really it was still day. So it was held for Nagdino ben Gurion also. Where was it held for Moshe Rabbeinu? This is a very interesting, this is really interesting limit over here.
This is true the first time?
I'm assuming, I don't know exactly, I'm assuming that Ben Gurion, I don't know, I was wondering if Ben Gurion was named after him.
That'd be second time.
Asya achel achel, ksivacha achel teis patcho, ktivasam b'Yoshua achel gadlecha. Rabbi Yochanan amar asya teis teis, ksivacha achel teis patcha, ksiv b'Yoshua b'yom teis Hashem esamer. I found this to be very fascinating, and there must be something a little deeper, but at the end of the day, it seems to be saying that it just has a Gzerat Shava, and there's a Gzerat Shava between Yoshua and Moshe, which means that Moshe Rabbeinu must have had the sun stand still for him as well. That's a pretty long stretch. Could have made a Gzerat Shava about a lot of things. But it seems like it's specifically something to do with Pachtacha and putting the Pachad on the nation through the holding of the sun. And therefore, through the holding of the sun, if you have a Gzerat Shava referring to the holding of the sun by Moshe Rabbeinu and Yoshua, it implies that the sun stood still for Moshe Rabbeinu as well.
It says this is the war with Sichon.
Right, but
Similar situation where Moshe Yoshua was
right, but again, but it's based
for war purposes.
But it's based on the Gzeras Shava. We don't actually see in the pasuk that it stood still for him.
Right.
But they're saying they're making Gzeras Shava. It must be based on the words that they use. It must be that a similar thing happened
but
that happened to Yoshua.
When you're fighting a war, you need to finish the job, and I guess Hashem's leaving the sun out there to finish the job.
Right.
Yeah.
Says the Gemara, Rav Shmuel bar Nachmani Amar. Shmuel Bar Nachmani says, "Migufei dekrasham islay asher yishmun shimacha sichon," like you mentioned, will hear you shimacha. V'ragzu v'chalam mipanecha. Ema say ragzu v'chalam mipanecha. When are they really going to be scared? B'shah she'amda lo chama leMoshe. When did they really become scared? When the sun stood for Moshe. Meisvei v'lo hayaki yomahu lefanav ve'acharav. How can you say that the sun stood still for Moshe and for Ben Gurion at the end of the day? It says by Yoshua that it never happened and never will happen. That's by Yoshua. So what's the difference? What can mean that never happened? So there's two possibilities. Either it wasn't as long. By Moshe, it was momentarily. By Ben Gurion, it was momentarily for an hour or whatever. Over here, it was clearly a lot longer. 24 hours, 36 hours, 48 hours, 60 hours, however long it was. Or the other opinion is that having the sun stop is cool, but when Barat comes with it, that's really cool. And by Yoshua, it wasn't just that the sun stood, it was at Barat, it was accompanied by Barat as well, and that's what it meant, Lohaya Lifanav, Lohaya Achrav. Zach the Gemara. When we're talking about Sefer Yashar, it says that in the pasuk that Bnei Yehuda were in charge of the archery, in charge of the war, and it's written in Sefer Yashar. My Sefer Yashar, what's the Sefer Yashar that it's referring to where it's written that Yehuda is in charge of the keshet, the archery, the war? Amar Chia Bar Rabbi Yochanan is Sefer Avram Yitzchak v'Yaakov, like we said, Shanikru Yisharim Dechsiv, Behu Tamas Nafshi Mos Yisharim V'Tiach Risi Kamohu. V'Heicha Remiza, where is it alluded to in Bereshis, in Sefer Bereshis, that Yehuda will be the one to fight the war, i.e. to have the archery? It says, Yehuda Atayo Ducha Checha, Yodcha Ba'oref Oivecha. Your hand will be in the nape of the oyev. Ezri melacha milchama shetzricha yad keneged orif. Where do you have the hand keneged the nape? Havi omer zu keshet. That's the keshet. That's the archery. Vayit Rabbi Eliezer Omer Zeh Sefer Mishnah Torah. It's actually in Devarim. V'amai karle Sefer Yashar. Again, it says that it's written in Sefer Yashar. Why is it called Sefer Yashar? D'chsiv asisa Yashar v'ato b'nei Hashem. Because in Devarim it says that you should do the Yashar b'nei Hashem. V'heichar Mizah. So where in Sefer Devarim is it alluded to that Yehuda is the one in charge of the keshet, in charge of the war? Yadav Ravlo. His yadav, Yehuda's yadav, are ravlo. He has a lot of yadav. Where do you need two yadayim for milchama? Have a omer zekeshet. To pull back and forward the archery bow and arrow. Rashmuel Bar Nachmani Amar is Sefer Shovtim. V'amai karulei Sefer Hayashar. D'chsiv b'yamim ha'im ein hamelech v'Yisrael ish hayashar beinav yaseh. Times of the Shotim, everybody did whatever was Yashar beinav, whatever they wanted to. V'heicha remiza. Where is it alluded to in Sefer Shoftim that Yehuda was the one who fought the war / was in charge of the archery? L'man das doros b'nei Yisrael l'lamda milchama. The Doros B'nai Yisrael will know to teach their children milchama. Ve'ezui milchama shetzricha limud. What kind of milchama do you need to be taught? Have omer zu keshet. What's the only problem? Minolan de Yehuda ksiv. It doesn't say that Yehuda is the one there. D'chsiv, rather, no, it is because it says mi yalanu betchila laknani. Who will go up first? Lilachim bo va'yomer Hashem Yehuda ya'aleh. So Yehuda will lead the war. The war will be led, and what kind of war do you need that you need to be taught how to do? That's the milchama with the keshet, and therefore, by definition, Yehuda is the one, as alluded to in Sefer Shoftim, Sefer HaYashar, according to this opinion, that will lead the war. Vayorem atavach es hashok v'ha'aleha vayosem lifnei shol. It's pronounced v'ha'aleha in the pasuk. So they went ahead. This is the time when Shaul came to be anointed as king in front of Shmuel. So he comes to Shmuel. So the cook brings him a shank and an aleha. Ma'iveh aleha. What's an aleha and why is it called an aleha? Aleha is like on top of it. Rabbi Yochanan Omer shok ve'alya. It's really the shank and the tail. Ma'iveh aleha. So if it's the tail, each one's going to have to explain why does it refer to it as the aleha on top of it. Demismecha shok la'aleha or la'alya. Because the shok, the shank, supports the tail. Therefore, the tail is called the aleha on top of the shok, on top of the shank. Rabbi Lazar Omer shok v'chazeh. It's the shank and the breast. Mai ve'aleha. Why is the breast called on top of the shank? Demachis la lechaza iluya deshok kiboya nufe uman fileh. Because you may be familiar that the time that you go ahead and you wave the korban shlamim, when you wave the korban shlamim, the breast is placed upon the shank and then it's waved. So since you placed it aleha on top of the shank, it's called aleha for the shank. Says the Gemara of Rabbi Lazar Amar shok v'chazeh. That we just did that. Rabbi Shmuel Bar Nachmani Amar shok v'shufi. It's the shok, the shank, and the cap of the thigh bone. My v'aleha. So why is the cap of the thigh bone called on top of the shok, on top of the shok? Shofi iluya deshokai. Because the end of the day, the cap of the thigh bone rests on top of the shank. So those are three opinions as to what exactly he gave him. Zok the Gemara. Lo tisyached isha. So the Mishnah had said that a woman should not have yichud with a goy. Says the Gemara, b'maya skinan. What are we dealing with here? Elima bechad de kavasa gaba Yisrael mishari. So the Gemara says very interestingly. The Gemara is always so sharp. The Gemara said, I don't understand. If the problem of being with a goy, it needs to be clearly something that's different than being with a Jew. Because if it was usher to be with a Jew in a certain circumstance, kal v'chomer, it's going to be usher to be with a goy who's a paratz. So when it says you can't have yichud with a goy, it must be a case where you are allowed to have yichud with a Jew. So it can't be a case of one man, because by Yisrael you also can't do it. One man can't even be with two women, and for sure he can't be with one woman be yichud. So what is it talking about over here when we talk about you can't have yichud with a goy? Ella bitlasa. It's talking about three. Because we know that by three, as Rashi tells us, by three Jews, bein bederach, bein be'ir, by three men can be with one woman, because again, they're going to be scared of each other, they're going to be intimidated by each other, they're not going to do anything in front of each other. Two is enough, as Rashi tells us, in the ear. If you have two men and one woman in the ear, that's enough. Again, the opposite of two women and one man is not good, because women are going to be afraid to say anything. But two men and one woman is enough to scare each other away, but it doesn't work in the field, because one might have to go to the bathroom, and then Lamaisa, the one's going to be left by himself. But if you have three, so three Yisrael everywhere is going to be enough. So the chiddush is that three Yisrael is allowed to have yichud with a woman. A woman should not have yichud with three goyim. Says Gemara, but we know that that's not true, because we know that there are actually certain circumstances that even within Yisrael, three would not be able to have yichud. By prutzim, when it's a paratz, so at the end of the day, you're not allowed to have yichud with any number of pratzim. You can't have with even 10 protzim and even 100. As we see, there was a maisa where there were 10 prutzim amongst the Jewish people. They took a woman, they wanted to commit adultery with her, so they put her into a coffin, pretended that she was dead, and took her out of the city in the coffin. So you see that you can't go ahead and you can't trust even Jewish prutzim. If you're going to equate the goyim to prutzim, then you already know you can't have yichud with any number of Jewish prutzim. So what do you have to tell me? You can't have yichud with goyim prutzim. You can't have yichud with even one goy paratz. You can't have yichud with one Jew paratz. You can't have yichud with 10 goy paratzim. Just like you can. So you have, yes, three men in general are okay, but there are cases within the Jewish people where it will be usher even with 3 men prutzim. So what's the chiddush here when you say that a woman should not be with goyim? Says the Gemara, lo tzricha be'ishto imo. Now, what's it talking about? It's saying that by a Jew, no matter who they are, even if they're a paratz, they're still scared of their wife. You might be a paratz, but you're always scared of your wife, because you're not going to do anything in front of your wife. A goy is not even scared of his wife, or one can argue his wife's not going to care. And his wife's going to say, okay, no problem, you want to do whatever you do whatever you do. So the chiddush here is that a woman is not allowed to have yichud with a goy, even when his wife is there. Which kavasa, in the case of a Jew, even if it's a paratz, if his wife is there, then it's going to be okay. And that's the chiddush of the Mishnah. Says the Gemara, what are you going through this whole hawk and telling me the reason that a woman can have yichud with a goy is because we're worried about pritzos and we're worried about having seduction and relations, etc. Why don't we say that she shouldn't be miyached with a goy? Because we're worried that the goy is going to kill her. Just like we say that a man shouldn't have yichud with a regular goy man because he's going to kill him. So why are we worried about pritzos, but we're not worried about her getting killed? You may have heard this mirsus. Mirsus comes up by Hilchos Kashrus as well. If you're going to use a non-Jew, then they have to have mirsus, right? They have to have that they know that there's some type of penalty for not listening to you. So over here we're talking about, says Rabbi Yirmiyah, we're talking about an isha chashuva. She's well connected to the government. If she's well connected to the government, then the person that she has yichud with is going to be nervous to what? To kill her. He's not going to kill her because she's well connected. He's not going to be nervous to seduce her. Therefore, yichud is usher in that case where the woman is well connected. It's not usher because we're afraid that the non-Jew is going to kill her. It's usher because we're afraid that he's going to seduce her. Says Rav Idi Amar, Isha klei zayna aleh. She has her weapons on her. That means, no, the reason is not because she's chashuv. Even if she's not chashuv, and that's an afkmina. Even if she's not chashuv, even if she's not well connected, she still doesn't have to be worried about shvichus damim, because a woman can always just give in to a man and he'll never kill her. According to the first opinion, a man might kill a woman. unless she's chashuv. According to the second opinion, a man would never kill a woman because if he gets to the point that he's interested in murdering her, she'll just give her body up and say, "Okay, I'm interested in being with you." And then, as soon as she says that, he's not going to turn down any woman, and Lamaisa, then he's going to have mercy on her, and he's not going to kill her. So that would be the nafkamina. The one nafkamina, the most basic nafkamina would be that according to Rabbi Yirmiyah, only an isha chashuva are we going to say that we're not worried about shvichus damim, but in isha she'ena chashuva we are worried about shvichus damim. And the reason that an isha she'ena chashuva can't be in yichud with a non-Jew is A, because of shvichus damim, and B, because Lamaisa of Pritzas. According to Ravidi, we're never worried about shvichus damim by yichud because a woman, worst comes to worst, has her clay zayin, and she has a weapon that she could just give herself up for znus, and Lamaisa he'll never kill her. That's one difference between them. My benayu, the Gemara seems to add another difference, and there's a lot of talk in the Rishonim how to interpret this, and I'll just give one interpretation. My benayu, what's another difference between the two opinions? Practical. Ike benayu isha chashuva bein anashim. The case we were talking about that she's connected to government officials, that's isha chashuva bein anashim. There's also something called v'she'ena chashuva bein hanashim. Being chashuv bein anashim means that you're well connected. Being chashuva bein hanashim, what makes you chashuv between the women? If you're attractive. So the nafkamina, according to this opinion, is that he's well connected, she's well connected, but she's not attractive. What's the difference if she's well connected, but she's not attractive? So it seems like, according to Rav Yirmiyah, we care, again, this is one interpretation, according to Rav Yirmiyah, we care whether she's attractive or not. So if she's well connected, then she can have yichud with a goy because he's not going to kill her. If she's well connected, but she's attractive, he can't have yichud because we're afraid that he's going to seduce her. If she's well connected, isha chashuva ben anashim v'she'ena chashuva ben anashim. If she's well connected, but she's not attractive, according to the way we're learning now, if she's well connected and not attractive, according to Rabbi Yirmiyah, she's allowed to have yichud because the fact that she's well connected, we're not worried about shvichus damim, and the fact that she's not attractive, we're not worried about him going ahead and seducing her. And says Ravidi, ridiculous. We always have to be worried that even if she's not attractive, we're worried that she's going to be seduced. And lamaisa, at the end of the day, it's never mutter to have yichud with a goy. Tanya kavasid Ravidi barabin haisha al pisha shalom ima, a woman who is well connected lo tisyaches. Even if she's not well attractive, she can never have yichud because we're not necessarily worried about whether they're attractive or not. This is one understanding of the difference. But again, like I mentioned before, the most basic nafkamina would be by an isha who's not chashuva. An isha who's not well connected. According to Rabbi Yirmiyah, a woman who's not well connected cannot have yichud because we're worried about shvichus damim. And according to Ravidi, a woman who is not well connected could theoretically have yichud al shvichus damim, but still can't have yichud because of tznius. Bottom line is that a woman should not have yichud either al shvichus damim, according to some opinions, or even if you want to tie it that there's no shvichus damim involved because they're not worried about that, she should not have yichud al the problem of seduction. I was thinking that this would be a very uncomfortable thing for rabbis if you had to start poskening about whether a woman was attractive or not. It's like they would come to Beis Din and be like, well, you can have yichud because you're not attractive, and you can't have yichud because you are attractive. That'd probably not be the best thing in the world to posken on. Okay. That'd be a good time to be an assistant rabbi. Says the Gemara.
In the eye of the beholder.
In the eye of the beholder.
Is this also with his wife?
So zero, yes.
His wife is with him or not?
No, again, so going back to the beginning, anytime a wife is with the person, you still can. That was the whole chiddush. Right. That when a wife is with a guy, you still can't have yichud with them.
Right. Okay, so
no matter what.
So now when we come with the question of her looks, or chashivas.
If we're going to bring in the looks and the chashivas, that was just a reason to get right. That was all within why are we not worried about shvichus damim. Either we're not worried about shvichus damim because she is well connected, or according to the other opinion, even if she's not well connected, we're not worried about shvichus damim because she always has her body to be able to throw at him. But Lamaisa, let's not lose track of the overall thing here, which is when it says lo tisyached ima, you can't have yichud. The chiddush of that case is that you can't have yichud with a goy even when isha imo. Let's not lose track of what the ikar is over here.
His wife. Don't you find it interesting that the Gemara
his wife, the goy's wife.
Right.
Yeah.
Don't you find it interesting that the Gemara uses the lashon of chashuva with the women?
Yeah, I found.
Versus just saying na'eh or yafeh.
Well, it's interesting. It sounds.
It with Rachel, right?
It sounds like the thing that is chashuv. Again, the Gemara is alluding to that something that's chashuv amongst women is the fact of who's attractive.
No, but just interesting they use that lashon.
Right.
They don't just say, "Oh, isha."
Well, I would have thought the opposite. I would have thought that what makes a woman chashuv bein anashim is when she's attractive. And the Gemara is not using it like that. It's using chashav again. Remember, Tosas has a different interpretation, but chashav bein hanashim seems to be well connected, and chashav bein hanashim seems to be attractive. I would have thought that chashav bein hanashim would be attractive as well.
If less bias, and a man's going to
right.
his judgment of attractive.
Lo yisyachid adam imahen. So now that was a woman. Now we're talking about a man not having yichud because of shvichas damim. Tana Rabbanan Yisrael shen is damin lo ovei kochavim baderech toflo limino. This is fascinating. When Yisrael finds an ovei kochavim on the road and he's walking, you should have him walk to your right. Why? So Rashi explains that toflo limino mechaver lo etzchan limino sheisol shim yertz ovei kochavim largo yishal Yisrael yad limino v'yachaz bo. You have the right hand to be able to go ahead and protect yourself. Rabbi Shmuel ben Osha, Rabbi Yochanan ben Baruch Omer, no, it makes a difference. Bisayev toflo limino. B'makal tofol is smolo. Fascinating. If the guy is carrying a sword, where does he carry a sword? Over here on the left. So if he's carrying a sword, then you have him walk to your right because then you're here and he's here and his sword is right near you, and if he starts to attack you, you can grab the sword. But if he's actually holding a stick or a cane, then he has to be on your left, because if his stick or his cane is in his right hand and he's on your right, you're not going to be able to grab it and he's going to hit you. But if he's on your left and the stick is in his right hand, then at least with your left hand you could go ahead and grab the stick. Fascinating. I always wonder, like we talked about censoring out parts of the Gemara, and you'd think like this would be a perfect candidate.
It's talking about the other guy.
Only censored
the sword.
It's talking about the goy having the sword.
I thought it was talking about the Jew.
No, it's talking about the goy. It's talking about the goy having the sword or the goy having the makal. Hayu olin b'malo yordin b'yerida lo hayu Yisrael lamata ve'ovei kochav lamala Yisrael lamala ve'kochav lamata. It's also fascinating. The Jew should always be above. It means when you're walking down steps, you walk behind him, because you don't want him to attack you from behind. Right. When you're walking up steps, you walk in front of him because you don't want him to turn around and push you down the steps. But when you walk in front of him, Rashi points out, you walk in front of him, but you make sure that he's behind you to your right. Because you can't just be behind you, because then he might attack you. So he needs to be behind you and to your right, so that if he does attack you, you're always watching and you can go ahead and you can lean over. Vayasuach lefanav, it gets even better. You shouldn't bow down in front of him or bend down in front of him. Shema yaretz es gulgolaso, because he might smash your skull. Shalu lehechan holech. If he asks you where you're going, yarchiv lo es haderech, you should lie to him. For shalom and for, I guess, for pikar nevis, you should lie to him, and you should tell him you're going to a further place. If he says, where are you going? You should say Florida, even though you're going to New York. He said he's going to Seir, but he was really going to Sukkot. Why did he do that? Because, as Rashi explains, if you tell him you're going further, he might say, okay, I have time to kill him. And then when you get to your location, like, okay, gotta go, and you walk out to your place, and he's like, wait, I was supposed to kill you. So that's what pshat is. So you tell him you're going further so that he thinks he has time, and then by the time he realizes, he's already too late. Listen, they were going to Ksiv. They found robbers. Amrulan, hey, how are you? Lana Tamochim, where are you going? Amrulan la'ako. He said, we're going to Akko, which is much further. Kevan Shegiel Ksiv Perish. They said, sorry, we got to go. We're at our place. He said, what are you talking about? You told us you're going to Akko. Amrulan Talmidei Miatem. Who are you Talmidim of? Amrulan Talmidei Rabbi Akiva. We're Talmidim Rabbi Akiva. Amrulan Ashri Rabbi Akiva Talmidim Shelo Palga Ben Adam Rabba Olam. Smart. You have a smart teacher who was able to teach you, to warn you for people like us, and you weren't able to be attacked by people like us. But what you notice in the story, and as we'll see the opposite in the next story, is that when they were caught, quote unquote, they praised Rabbi Akiva. As opposed to the next story where they're going to curse the teacher Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Menashe hava azil lebei torsa. Rabbi Menashe was going to Beit Torsa pagubo ganve. Amrulei la'an kazalt. And there's a whole discussion about listim versus ganve. But he said, where are you going? Amrulei lepum bedisa, which is further than Beit Torasa. Kimasa lebeit Torasa. Barji said, I gotta go. Amrulei talmida de Yehuda ramat. You are a talmud of Yehuda. And Rashi points out, how did they know that he was a talmud of Yehuda? He was a talmud of Yehuda because these were listim Jews. These were Jews that were listim. So they know who Rabbi Yehuda was. And they said, you are talmidim of Rabbi Yehuda, who himself is a Ramai. Amalu Yadatile, you know him, that you're calling him Ramai. Yehi Rava Diliavin Anu Inshe B'Shmaite. Since you called Rabbi Yehuda Ramai, you should have praised him. Yes, we outsmarted you, we outwitted you, but you should have praised our teacher like they praised Rabbi Akiva. The fact that you're cursing him and calling him a Ramai, because he's protecting us, so you should be under his curse forever. Unfortunately, they tried to steal for another 22 years. They continued robbery, and they weren't matzliach because of this curse. Once they saw that, so they went and they wanted the curse to be taken away so that they can go ahead and steal again. Seemingly, that's not why. They wanted the curse to be able to take it away so that they could go ahead and not be under the curse, and they promised that they're not going to steal anymore. There was one weaver who didn't want to go ahead and take the curse away. Bad choice, and he got eaten by a lion. Amri, this is where we have the famous phrase that I've never heard of, Girdana de lo Taizen, a weaver who's not humble, Shasa Batzir Mishane. His days will be diminished. Tachazi ma ben ganvei Bavel, the listim of Eretz Yisrael. It just points out what the difference between the ganvei of Bavel and the listim of Eretz Yisrael. That at least in the listim of Eretz Yisrael, so what they do when they were caught, so they praise Rabbi Akiva, they praise a teacher, as if they're on a higher level. Even the ganavim are on a higher level. That when they're caught, they at least admit that there's greatness. See, again, the second set in Bavel were Jewish ganavim. Unclear what the first set was, but maybe Jewish ganavim as well. And then saying ganvei Bavel, the list in Eretz Yisrael, that in Eretz Yisrael, even the ganavim are on a higher level. That when they're caught, they don't go ahead and curse the teacher, they praise the teacher, as opposed to in the second story, when they were caught, they didn't praise the teacher, they went ahead and they cursed the teacher.